Hello, everybody. So today is the second RE lesson of this little unit. So just get cracking with what the activity is going to be today. It's just a can I, we don't have to worry too much about that. So the first thing I'd like to think about is this word here, the word sacrifice. What do you think it means? What have you read or watched where you've heard the word sacrifice? So have a little pause and a little think about that. So I'm just going to reveal the rest of my screen. So we can either have sacrifice as a noun or a verb. It depends what you are talking about. The one we are sort of mainly looking at really is the verb. So it's to sacrifice. So like you're doing it. You are sacrificing something. So we won't worry too much about the noun, but that definition is there. And quite often, so where I mean, we'll define the word. So as the noun, it says an act of slaughtering an animal or person or surrendering a possession. And again, in some religions, they do offer up animals to slaughter as a form of sacrifice. So we're not going to totally ignore this because, again, that is what some people in their religions do. So that's just there for sort of your reference. The one we're mainly looking at today is the verb. So it says here to offer or kill as a religious sacrifice, which links back up to this one. And this is the most important one that we're really thinking about today, is this bottom one, to give up maybe something valued for the sake of other considerations. And then in this little bit underneath, this is a really nice example. Working hard doesn't mean sacrificing your social life. So you can still enjoy your weekends, your evenings after school, after work, things like that. But you can still work hard at the same time. So it's not just all about, killing and things like that. It's not just all about that. It can be sacrificing other things as well, things that can't necessarily be physically seen or held potentially, like an actual object or something. So next thing, think about, why is Jesus sometimes called the Lamb of God then? So you might want to think back to the previous slide using that word sacrifice. Just having a little think. So we have got here, just something for us to think about and to bear in mind. It's sort of the religious side of this RE today. So Jesus can be seen as the sacrificial Lamb of God, and many see his death as a sacrifice. By willingly dying on the cross, Jesus freed people from sin. And then the second little bit here, and obviously we've heard all about Jesus and the cross from when we do sort of our Easter work every year. A lamb was killed for the Jewish Passover, and Jesus himself, in the sacrifice of his death and resurrection, is the lamb for the new Passover. So they're just comparing there. So Jesus sort of being the lamb, really. So obviously they can't actually have Jesus every year in the Jewish Passover, so they use a lamb instead that sort of represents Jesus, which is why Jesus is called the Lamb of God now. Just as a bit of a comparison. So what we're thinking about today then is all about sacrifice. So it says here, sacrifices can be made by all people and certainly do not have to be as dramatic as sacrificing one's life. People can sacrifice their time, lifestyles, goals, happiness, and so on. And if you notice, all those things on that list, those 4 things, none of those things that you can sacrifice are like actual physical objects. They are, so time is one of those things that it just happens, doesn't it? you know, your goals. Yes, your goals might involve physical items, but your goal is something that you inside your own brain have decided that you would like to achieve, for example. So the bit in purple, have you ever sacrificed something and why did you do it? And is there something you would never be willing to sacrifice and why? So there's a couple of things there. So you might want to pause at this point and have a think. You might wish to jot a few things down. Obviously, if we were in class, we would be mind mapping all these ideas, jotting them up onto the board at the front on our flip chart. So for example, so you might, don't just make it all physical objects like, oh, I couldn't possibly ever sacrifice my mobile, or I could never sacrifice my Xbox, and like stuff like that. There may well be some physical things depending on what you choose, but some of these things might be things that you can't see, you can't hold. And I expect with this second one here, something that you would never be willing to sacrifice. There's probably lots of really good answers for that. So for example, if I was going to give you an example, I would say something that I would never be willing to sacrifice and why would be my freedom. So, I can, this is the same for a lot of you, say it as a we have got our freedom. We live in a country where we can go about as we please. We can go to places, obviously not in this COVID world we live in, but, normally we have freedom to go anywhere, sort of do what we want. We have relatively the same opportunities. Again, depends on lots of things, but generally, we have that freedom. But actually, not every country is the same. Not every country treats people the same, whether it be your gender, your beliefs, your age, your marital status, your sexuality, all things like that. You don't have the same level of freedom. So I definitely think that's something that I would say for that one would be, I'd never be willing to sacrifice my freedom. But I understand that it is a privilege where we live, that we live in a place where we can have that freedom. Or at least personally, I feel like I have got that freedom. So have a think, maybe jot something down for this one. So the actual activity we're going to do today is you're going to find out about a Christian. Now I've said Christian, but you might find people who maybe aren't Christian. They might be of a different religion, or they might be a spiritual person. See who you find about this one, but preferably a Christian person if you can, who has made sacrifices in order to follow Jesus. So they've made some kind of sacrifice to follow their beliefs. And I've suggested as well that you can present it however you want, poster, paragraphs, PowerPoint, whatever you would like to. It depends on how you work yourself. I don't mind, Mr. Cooper doesn't mind how you present this. That is fine. And I've got here a suggestion of some people. This is not the only list of people, there's lots of others. Some of these people you would have heard of, some of them you wouldn't. So we've got Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King. Obviously, I put in brackets next to their names why or what they did. So why they were famous or what their sacrifice was. So we've got Jackie Pullinger, Corrie ten Boom, Gladys Aylward we'll go with, and Desmond Tutu. So there's some people that you might choose to pick. Some of them you would have heard of, some of them you wouldn't. We've got quite a few missionaries here and activists, obviously activists for different things, human rights versus civil rights. But what I have done is, obviously, you can choose your own example. I put the two definitions down here just so you know what they mean. So a missionary is a person sent on a religious mission, especially one sent to promote Christianity in a foreign country. Not always to promote Christianity, but often they go on a religious mission to maybe help people. So Mother Teresa, obviously, she was a nun and a missionary, but she went over and did a lot of work when she was alive, helping other countries. And then an activist is a person who campaigns to bring political or social change. So they are actively campaigning to help improve a situation. So, for example, you have got classic Martin Luther King, where he was an activist to bring political change around the rights of Black people in America specifically. So that's one thing that he obviously was very passionate about. And then you got Desmond Tutu, where he was an activist, but his was about human rights. So he's someone slightly different to look into potentially. So here's the two definitions, just so you know what those words mean. Equally, go and find your own person. This might give you a bit of an idea of who you could look up. But again, there's so many different people. Maybe don't go with the standard ones because you do know stuff about them already, but it is totally up to you. And yeah, and some of these people I hadn't heard of. I've never heard of Corrie ten Boom. So she helped the Jewish people escape during World War II, and her and her family, they hid Jews in their home, which I'd never heard of before. So that's someone that was quite interesting that I had a very quick read of beforehand. So this is your activity. Everything you need is on the Home Learning Hub. I have put this up on the Home Learning Hub as well, just with sort of a bit of guidance for you. So name the person, short background about who they were. Obviously, I've done it with both tenses because you might do someone that's dead, you might do someone that's alive. What your person did or does that spreads Jesus' message, and why might they have been, or why are they? Why might it have been difficult for them to carry out their work? So for what reason was it difficult? And then why might you or someone else admire that person particularly? So they're just sort of 5 areas that you might want to cover about the person that you choose to do a little bit of research about. And we look forward to seeing these. And if you'd like to share these in a Zoom one afternoon, we would really, really like to see it.